Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and a man I first saw over 10 years ago on Broadway and I've followed ever since. He's bringing out a brand new album called Serenata and he's on tour through December in huge, great big whopping arenas. Alfie Boe, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Alex. How are you?
I'm delicious, mate. Good to talk to you. You really are it right now. You must be run off your feet. You're doing the Palladium, the Royal Variety. You've got this big tour, a new album. It's going very well, isn't it?
It is. I'm very fortunate. There's a lot of work that's involved in all this, but it's coming together slowly but surely. Looking forward to the new album being released, and also to getting to perform it on tour, in all these big arenas, like you say.
It's very interesting. The last album was sort of mainstream, a little bit folky, a little bit country, a bit pop. This is really authentic Alfie Boe. This is going almost full circle to what we sort of fell in love with at the beginning. Is that deliberate?
You know, I just want to keep people happy with my music in general whenever I make an album. But yeah, this is sort of old school Alfie, I suppose, stuff that people know me best for, and I just want to make sure that I'm still providing this sort of music for my fans too, you know, as well as the new projects and different ideas.
Your show is sort of half rock concert, half classical concert, and that's what makes it so magical. Your ability to go between a Queen song and then one of these gorgeous traditional Italian songs is incredible, and it seems like you've mastered that art now, and you love it, don't you?
I do like it, Alex. Yeah, it's great. I am very fortunate that, to be honest, it's my fans that make it work. They seem to appreciate how I produce the songs, how I sort of make them work for my voice. I just love singing all different types of music. This particular show that I'm doing, though, this arena tour, is going to concentrate on the again, completely different than the last arena tour that I did. This is going to concentrate on the subtle side of Alfie Boe, the more romantic side of it, really, rather than the rocky side. So I've got a very sort of period type look to the show, a period type feel. We're blending all the different types of music that I've performed into a similar sort of sound and vintage style.
I was very honoured to be invited to see you at the Royal Albert Hall when you did that show that you taped for PBS in America, and I said it then and I stand by it, that you are the world's greatest tenor in history, and your voice seems to get better and better, and the way your fans accept you also seems to be fascinating, that they just adore you. You're great at allowing them in to fall in love with you, aren't you? The ladies think you're a nice bit of trouser.
Thanks, Alex. That's nice, and thank you. I am fortunate with that. You know, fortunate to have that attention and response from the fans. You know, and who would we be without our fans as performers? That's what we need. That's what we thrive for, and we want to have lots of fans to be able to perform to. So it's important to look after them, make sure that you're giving them what they want, and whether it's music or the way you look. You know? Yeah.
Do you realise how extraordinary your life is? I mean, the first time we actually met in person, I'd seen you on Broadway, but then I met you at Les Mis in the West End. There aren't many West End Broadway stars that end up packing arenas. It's amazing how you've made that transition. Do you think Les Mis is partly responsible for that it just opened you up to a massive audience who heard the best version ever of Bring Him Home?
Yeah, I mean, if I said Les Misérables had nothing to do with my success, I'd be completely foolish. Les Mis was probably the biggest turnaround for my career that's ever been, really. The minute I sang Bring Him Home on the O2 Arena stage for the 25th anniversary, it was a magical moment for me, and I hope it was a magical moment for the listeners, because it certainly definitely changed my life and my career around for me. So I have a lot to thank Cameron McIntosh for, and the composers Boublil and Cole Michel Schoenberg for all they've done for me.
And of course, some of the composers on the new album are dead, so they're decomposers. And
oh man, that's terrible.
It's been a long day. It was interesting. I was there at that Les Mis night. Have you ever had a reception like that since. I don't wish to say your career's over, because it's certainly not, but that standing ovation was extraordinary at the O2, wasn't it?
It was an amazing moment. I do have to say I've had some wonderful ovations since that. But, you know, and especially doing that song, you know, that song seems to reach my audience in a very special way. So whenever I do that performance and put my heart and soul into it, it does get a great reaction, and I hope it always will.
How do you stay sane? Because when you're as good as you are and perform as magnificently as you do, you've got to wake up in the morning sounding like Alfie Boe, or we're not going to care. Do you get neurotic about that, or do you just have to get over it and think, well, if I can sing, I can, and if I can't, that's it, I won't?
You know, I went to college to train on how to produce the goods, really, and how to develop a technique, how to look after my voice, how to make sure that everything I was doing towards it was productive. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling tired or a little bit rough and the voice it doesn't kick in quite straight away, I have to know what position it's in, where I am that particular day to sing from, and make it work. I just have to develop it, make it work, be gentle with it, and just know that, trust in it, trust that it'll be there when it's needed. And it's always been a reliable thing to me. I've always been very fortunate that it's stood up for me when I've needed it to.
And of course, this probably isn't the most important thing in your life right now to talk about show business, because the last time we spoke, you were just about to have baby number 2. How's all that going?
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's great being a father. I mean, talk about being grounded and things like that. You know, it's your family, your children that make you realise why you do this for a living. You know, it's great to be able to entertain, lovely to be able to please your fans, but it's also a wonderful thing to know that you're securing your children's future and supplying a good living for them.
What's interesting about your music is you connect with words and humanity probably better than anybody I've ever seen on stage. You make those words live. Does that help with being a father? I know this sounds a bit Oprah Winfrey, but I mean, connecting with your children, does that come naturally, being as you're so good at it in terms of performance and on stage, or is it a completely different kettle of fish?
I think, you know, I think being a father, for me, opened my eyes a lot to life and to what it's about. And I think, yeah, you get emotional in a different way, I suppose, depending on what you're singing. You know, if you're singing a song where you have to be angry, then, you know, it's not really any relation at all. But I mean, but emotions for, in particular, love songs or thoughtful songs, meditational songs, those are, it does connect with you, really, because you can sort of have a similarity between your feelings for your family and that sort of thing. But you know, it's easy to have emotion for your kids, because when you just look at them and you know, it's your creation, your sort of family, and the love that you have for them just takes over. So it does have an effect on your performance, I have to say.
And are you still in America, or are you living back here now? Where are you?
Well, you know, I'm living out of a bag at the moment. I travel so much, Alex. You know, this is part of the job. I'm moving around like crazy. Wherever the work is, wherever I'm asked to go and sing, I have to fly to. I have to be prepared to move. So that does take up a lot of my time. I spend a lot of time in the UK. I probably spend more, you know, probably about 8 months of the year in the UK, and my holiday, whenever I have any downtime, that's spent with the family in the States. But we are in the process of getting a place back in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Especially as the kids grow up, because you can't keep schlepping them all over the world. Eventually, you've got to stay somewhere and stick at it.
Exactly, you have to be. You know, schools stipulate a lot. You know, the heads of the schools stipulate a lot. It's almost like asking permission. You
don't want to get one of those £200 fines, Alfie. You might not be able to pay it, you know.
No, exactly. And you don't want to get on the wrong side of mistresses.
Doesn't matter how big you are, they'll put you in your place.
Exactly.
Could it get any better for you? I mean, when you were part of that ensemble and I saw you on Broadway in La Boheme, why you? Why did they pick you? I mean, also in that cast, of course, was David from Il Divo, who's also doing incredibly well. There aren't many people who stick out. Do you think it is down to the voice? Have you tried to work out whether it's personality and, of course, your charming looks that the ladies adore?
Well...
Don't do anything for me, by the way, Alfie. I've got to be perfectly honest with you. But, you know.
I'm beginning to wonder because you've mentioned that twice now.
Well, I'm going to try a wife first, and then I'll come back to you if you don't mind. The voice. Now, the voice, that's something to be impressed by.
I mean, the voice is something that I think hits the audience the first and foremost. You know, it's about your delivery, the interpretation of this, how you sound. You know, I think that has a big thing to do with it. And yeah, I mean, these days it does help if you look fairly decent too. It can help, but I just think also with any artist, it's really down to yourself on how far you want to go. You know, how much you want to do, how hard you want to work. And it is hard work. You know, you have to keep on top of it. You have to keep reinventing and coming up with ideas and coming up with things that you think your fans will like, and coming up with things that to give to your fans, to present to your fans for entertainment. So I'm constantly thinking of new ways of delivering myself, that sort of thing.
This new album is incredible. I listened to it in the car and it really is proper music, recorded beautifully. And I love that it's not overproduced. You've not done that sort of big rock anthem-y sound that we had on the last album. This is really selling your voice and the songs. And when you've got things like Valore, you don't need too much nonsense, do you?
You really don't. I mean, these songs are simple songs. These songs were performed simply back in the day. You know, they were performed by families around the dinner table. They were performed by street musicians who could hardly afford a decent guitar or whatever. But so I've really tried to make the fact that these songs, it's all about the music, it's all about the melodies and the stories and the simplicity of them, really, and the romance. The romance is a big deal to this album because we're nice, gentle string section. We haven't gone for that massive, big, overproduced sound, like you say. It's basically about you know, just the small subtleness of the songs and the simplicity of them.
I thank you for your time. You've always been very gracious over the years, and it's always my honour to speak to you. Alfie Boe is out on tour through December with his brand new concert, and he's got his new album, Serenata, which is out now. Seriously, man, you got one of the greatest acts in the world as far as I've ever seen. I've never heard a voice better or a performance stronger. Congratulations, Alfie Boe.
Thanks, Alex.